Hey there, my name is Ashley Smith. I am just going to tell you about my lesson that I'm going to teach. It's on grit and growth mindset. I teach language arts, but I think that you could teach this lesson with any age group and any subject. I think it's actually important to teach this lesson with any age or any subject. We've been doing it for a couple of years. First, let me tell you a little bit about grit and growth mindset. A fixed mindset, and I do have notes here that I'm going to kind of use as I go, but a fixed mindset is a person who avoids challenges, gives up easily due to obstacles. They see effort as fruitless. They ignore useful feedback, and they're threatened by others' success. That should probably sound very familiar to you because you probably have lots of students, if not most of your students, who have a fixed mindset. A growth mindset, and this should be less common, but they embrace challenges, persist despite obstacles. They see effort as a path to mastery. They learn from criticism, and they're inspired by others' success. And that is where we want to get our students. We want them to have a growth mindset. A little bit more background knowledge about that. A lady named Carol Dweck, she came up with with this static fixed mindset and this growth mindset that believes that the mind can be developed. The learning philosophy that I feel like goes right along with this is constructivism. Constructivism is when knowledge is constructed rather than innate or passively absorbed. That means that prior knowledge leads to new learning experiences, and that is what the growth mindset is all about. Learning is an active process, making meaningful connections. All knowledge is socially constructed. I can't even remember if it's this class or another class I'm taking right now, but this goes right along with John Dewey's belief, which is pragmatism as well, where we all are a work in progress. And neuroplasticity is another thing that if you research growth mindset, that's a word that you'll come across. And it's just the belief that the brain can be changed, and that we don't just have, people aren't just born with a certain intelligence, that your intelligence can be developed. And so all knowledge is personal with constructivism, and it definitely is with a growth mindset because it involves students setting goals for themselves, and it exists in the mind. And so that's just a little background about fixed mindset and growth mindset. If you've never done a lesson on it, I highly recommend it because we have so many students with a fixed mindset. We have so many adults with a fixed mindset. The technology tools that I plan to use are, I'm going to start off with a YouTube video. It's called Kid President. I know that you've probably seen him before, but the one that I think specifically goes along with this is the one where it's called Pep Talk. And he just talks about how you just need to not give up. And basically that is a growth mindset, because a lot of kids with fixed mindset, they think, I'm not good at this, there's no use in trying. And the growth mindset says otherwise. And so I just love that video. Also, I have planned a Kahoot that I found that will just kind of see what they already know or what they can figure out just going through the Kahoot about a growth and a fixed mindset. They'll probably figure a little bit of it out about halfway through the Kahoot, which is okay. That's good. Under the lesson and facilitation part of the lesson, I'll do a PowerPoint on growth and fixed mindsets. And I found one that was really good. It tells them all about growth and fixed mindsets, but it also gives them, like a kid or any adult can take a quiz. There's all kinds of them out there. You can take a quiz to see like what level of a fixed or growth mindset you have. And so in this PowerPoint, there's a quiz, so they'll just jot down their answers to the questions, and it'll give them a scale of, on the scale what kind of mindset they have, if they're honest with themselves. So you probably have to give a talk about that. There's also a YouTube video. It's on neuroplasticity. We show this every year. It's really interesting. It's about how the brain works and how if you're not good at something, you can rewire your brain by practicing things, basically. I always tell my kids I'm terrible at math. I have a fixed mindset about math, and I need to change that. Just be honest with them about, what you have a fixed mindset and growth mindset about. A lot of the times you can use sports as an example. Especially for the boys. I mean, the girls too, but, you can tell them that you practice to get better. And it's the same thing with your brain. You have to practice things to get better at it. But that video is really good, and it's very kid friendly. It's not boring to the students at all. There's another thing that I do with my kids, and I've never done this before, but as I was planning for this lesson, I thought it was really interesting. You can do a virtual gallery walk and I was planning on doing it on famous failures, because all of those people, if you give them examples of people like Michael Jordan, Oprah Winfrey, there's tons of examples, Albert Einstein, of people who were told so many times that they were not good at something, and they overcame it, and look at where they are today, So, and sometimes they're surprised. They know the whole story about Michael Jordan, but sometimes they're surprised at some of these people who are famous and who are so successful, and they failed so many times, and that is a person with a growth mindset. People with growth mindset learn from their mistakes, and that's where we want our students to be. And so I started researching a gallery. We always do a gallery walk, but I've never done a virtual one. And there is a gallery walk that you can do. It's using collaborative learning technologies such as Google Slides, and you put the slides in there about the famous failures, and the kids it's like a working document in progress or whatever, but the kids can come back and make comments just on each of the famous failures. And I would have them give feedback about characteristics of these people, because they will start to see a trend. They're all going to want to put the same thing, like they never give up. They learn from their mistakes. And those are characteristics of a growth mindset. In the next phase, I would have them to create a Prezi. If you've never seen a Prezi, it's just a really cool PowerPoint, basically. But there's lots of like moving parts, and you can basically get more creative with the Prezi than you can a PowerPoint. So I would like to show them how to do that, and I want them to do some research on their own on fixed and growth mindsets and create a Prezi, and they would have to have like a title page, a page saying the difference between growth and fixed mindset, something on neuroplasticity, I would like for them to have at least the definition of that in there. Common fixed mindset statements, and then common growth mindset statements. Like fixed mindset statements would be like, I'm not good at this, I might as well not try. Growth mindset statement would be, you've heard of the power of yet. So that comes in, if you're discussing growth mindset, you're probably going to discuss that too. And so they might say, well, I'm not good at this yet. And an explanation of what a student can do to develop a fixed mindset, or a growth mindset, I mean. So they would create a Prezi just explaining growth and fixed mindsets. The formative assessment would be a quizzes game. So I can just see what they know and what they don't know, and what we need to go over. And I found one online. And then the conclusion would be a summative assessment. And this would involve some writing. So you would have had to have already had some instruction on writing. And the students would reply to one of the following prompts. They would write about something that they did this week that is a good example of growth mindset, and what did you do, say, or think, and explain how this example is growth mindset. Or they could pick, because I like to give them choices, especially with writing prompts. They could write about something that they did this week that involved a fixed mindset, and what did they do and say and think, and explain how you could have been more growth minded. That's what they would have to do. This could be done at my school. We use Canvas, so they could type it in Word and then just upload it into Canvas, or they could do it on Google Docs and submit it to you some way, like that. They could email it to you. I would want them to use like words in their writing such as growth mindset, fixed mindset, grit, neuroplasticity, things like that. Some of the vocabulary from the things that they've seen about growth and fixed mindset so far. And I would also want them to focus on development of ideas, because that's one of the main things that students struggle with in writing. And that includes like having evidence. So I would want them to include some text evidence and elaborating on that evidence. Again, you would have to have some prior instruction on that. But that's basically my lesson. Like I said, if you've never done a lesson, we usually try to do it right after we come back from the Christmas holidays. And so if you've never done a lesson on growth or fixed mindset, most of your students have a fixed mindset. Like I said, most adults have a fixed mindset. I do too sometimes. And so it's just a really good way to show them that you can actually develop your intelligence, and you don't have to be stuck in this rut of I can't do this type of situation. So anyway, hope you enjoyed it. Thanks.